Hello. Welcome to Cannes. Welcome to Sport Beach 2025. So glad to have you guys here. I'd like to welcome our friends from Fox. So first of all, Julian Franco, President of Operations and Strategy. And Julie Triolo, our friend, longtime friend of WOLFGANG, SVP of Product Marketing at Fox. Wow. Welcome, you guys. Let's just dig right in, shall we? Given the context of Cannes, it's a celebration of creativity, lots of stuff happening out there. I'd love to harness on the topic of the era of creativity and what it means to you guys and what it means to you specifically at Fox. So given that, let's talk about the creator era. I think we cannot go anywhere in Cannes without talking about creators and the creator era. So question for both of you. We've talked about it a lot so far. What's changed in the last year or so with brands, media, platforms that we need to pay attention to? You want to start?
I think in the last year, I would say what has happened is the creator movement has, I think, risen a little bit in terms of like overall production value, and it's no longer, it still is some people with cell phones and they start there, but they've also gotten very professional, right? So if you look at some of these top creators, they're essentially mini studios. And I think from our perspective at Fox, what we think of is it's really not any different than we've historically done with like a creator economy. We've always been about facilitating creators. Yeah. We've always been about giving creatives and storytellers the resources to be able to tell their stories and then try to distribute them out into the world to be able to help them run businesses and do more of them, tell more stories. I think what's happening right now is the speed from creation to publishing and the number of places and platforms that you can put them and the way that they all aggregate audience is moving faster and the volume is increasing.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more about these creators essentially becoming mini entrepreneurs. It's like far more than just influencing behavior online or in digital or in video. And what I love to think about this huge transformation that happened, because I used to work on Tumblr and I feel like they were the OGs of the Creator Network. And so now it's completely transformed into a whole new entity. Actually, Fox just invested in the Lighthouse. So we're super excited to be a part of that ecosystem. Awesome. And I think what is compelling about the Lighthouse too is it's not just an incubator, but it's also an environment that they're creating. They're curating a place for people to come, learn, make, belong. And so this community will be really special. And I think for our brands, it'll be really impactful because we can blend that authenticity and the trust that these creators are delivering and have brands come into that fold as well to really elevate the experience for consumers as well.
That's amazing. I think speed is really an interesting one for us to watch because it really does happen instantaneously, doesn't it?
Yeah, they can go from creation to publishing in a matter of minutes, whereas before they would make a movie or make a show and then wait for it to air and then see how it performs, see how the movie does, see if they get another chance. And now they can see in a matter of hours, is my piece of content resonating or do I need to change it? And I actually think that time is going to get even more compressed. And if you look at something like the Lighthouse, where a creator would start at home, maybe if they're a food creator, they would start in their own kitchen. And then they'd buy a tripod for their iPhone and get started that way. The things that still matter, people have to be compelling storytellers. The audience has to want to see more of them. But at the same time now, you go, if the creator starts with a place like the Lighthouse, it's built education, community, and production. So they teach you about the business. They teach you how to run the business. They have all the cameras in the studios and the test kitchens ready to go. So the time that it takes to kind of find your niche and find an audience, super compressed.
Yeah, that gap has really shrunk. What do you think this ecosystem and this, I think it's a shift, you mentioned that as well, means for Fox and for creative agencies?
I mean, I think that it's kind of working in harmony together. It kind of goes back to this idea that the creator is really the delivery of the production, of the strategy, and everything can be done in a very short period of time. I think AI is also probably going to play a role here to a certain degree, where in almost real time, you can start to see the sentiment when you launch your output and be able to fine tune that and optimize it real time and really understand how to build in that cultural resonance, not only with consumers, but with brands. And so I think that that'll be super powerful for that partnership to exist in the ecosystem. And then I think creative agencies, I mean, I am such a big fan of creative agencies. I think that they bring a fresh perspective. It is in my history. And so I really think that injecting some of those philosophies in the formula of which we used to operate in a sort of different, transformed environment will be really powerful.
Yeah.
I think from our perspective on the entertainment side and the content production side, I think ultimately brands and agencies, I believe, always want to be around the premium content, right? What you want is you want a certain premiumness to what the audience sees and what they feel when they're watching a piece of content, plus the creator. You want that projected onto your brand. And I think what we do at Fox is we can help develop that talent because we have creatives and creative execs that know what it takes to resonate with audience. The shows and as just food as the example, they still aggregate tens of millions of views, and we're in business and develop shows with the world's number one food influencer, right? And Gordon Ramsay. So what we think about is we think, okay, for those compelling storytellers that are great creatives, we can help elevate those stories and we can create experiences that are great places for Fox brands and those creators to be able to partner.
Yeah, I would say yes. And I also think that there's an element of, because it's so fast to market, that there's an authenticity that like kind of is the underlying tone. So it doesn't always have to be so polished and perfect. And I think that definitely the younger generation kind of appreciates the rawness and really seeing like a peek behind the curtain on how the sausage is made.
Yes. Exactly, to that point, it could be premium, but doesn't have to necessarily be super polished. Exactly. I think that's a great way of looking at the creative that we're seeing coming out right now. A little bit of an investment strategy deep dive, if you don't mind. You did mention Gordon Ramsay. Doesn't get bigger of an influencer than Gordon Ramsay. Tell us about that IP. It's obviously a creator-led IP. We saw a big celebration of him at the upfront. So tell us a little bit of that investment strategy within that IP.
Yeah, look, one of the things we tell Gordon, and I tell him this when we have like our quarterly meetings, is we don't mean to talk about you like you're not a person, but in the world of Fox, Gordon Ramsay is a brand and a franchise.
Absolutely.
Right? He's also extremely engaged. One, we're business partners. So Fox did invest in Studio Ramsay Global. So we do have that combined business together. And through that, we've made other investments in other brands that are either close to Gordon or that resonate with Gordon that we think is a part of what we would call like a food ecosystem. Some of the things that we think about is that we're not in the cruise ships and theme parks business, but we are in the food business, right? So I think there what it is Gordon's super authentic, right? He resonates with audience. And some of the reasons why I think he does is because for as busy as he is, if you think about his real content strategy that him and his team put out, they're really active on YouTube. He's got shiny shows on Fox, big shiny shows where he does different things. In some places he cooks, in some shows he coaches, in some other shows he fixes, right? So like in Kitchen Nightmares or now with Gordon Ramsay's Secret Service, which is a net new format for him. It's a little bit of an undercover with the people in the restaurant. He actually comes in and spends a lot of time with the restaurateur and helps them fix their business. And if needed, a little bit of what's happening in their personal lives that's causing challenges in the business.
A little bit of tough love. In all of those places, he's always yelling.
Many of them, yes. And people love when they see Gordon yell. But at the same time, what he also does,
just passion.
100%. And like, look, he'll on Ramsay Reacts, which is a handle that he has and a page that he has on Instagram, where he's reacting to college dorm room beef Wellingtons, right? And he's watching, he's reacting. It's their reaction videos to what people are making, and they send them to him. He then will react to them, and he's pretty active there. So I think ultimately what we see and what we learned from Gordon is there is definitely ways for us to be able to, one, help a guy like Gordon drive that business, and at the same time, build a much bigger and broader food umbrella, because we know that there's ways for us at Fox to be able to help other folks and other brands find their way in like the world of food.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if people would necessarily associate food and Fox, but
Yeah.
I think
I think growing that franchise will be really important. And I love being in all of those various categories. And so we can marry the brands with whatever is endemic to their brand and ensuring that their voice, we're the platform where their voice can really shine and they can do it in a very like compelling way.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about AI. I mean, I think we've been talking about it now probably for 5+ years, and now we're still talking about it, and we're not going to stop talking about it. Art and science. You need both. You need a bit of art, you need a bit of science for content. Given the industry is hyper-focused on the science technology of that part of it, how do you see working in harmony with creators and creative, the output coming out?
Well, I'll say for us, we just launched a converged media platform, and part of that is being fueled by all of the signals that we get from a creative standpoint, from our audiences, from behavior signals. And so that's going to really enable us to showcase the creator outputs in compelling ways and marry up those brands with those creators, as well as getting them to the right audiences. So if we can actually target the audiences of which this is going to be, resonate with them and create that cultural resonance, I think that will be really important. The other piece of it is just, I think AI is going to help real time, like kind of look at sentiment and do the crawling for us. When we look at all of the comments that are happening on these videos, what is actually standing out and how do we fine tune that and optimize it real time? So I think that'll be pretty compelling as well.
Amazing.
On our side, the way that we think about it is we think over like the last 10, 15, 20 years, the entertainment, the media entertainment industry has been a bit disrupted by how content is distributed. Looking forward, what will change is how content is created.
Yes.
And what we think about is, and what we're realizing is human creativity still is at the center of it, right? So if you think of the analogy, if we were all to pick up a hammer, nails, some wood, and a saw, we probably couldn't build a house, or at least not one we'd want to live in.
No.
But there's some people that are super talented and are great at it. So it still requires a compelling storyteller with a compelling story to tell. And then for us, what will happen is the production value is going to increase. I think the types of stories and the size of the stories that you're going to be able to see and that are going to be able to be created will be impressive, because historically it's been restricted by time, resources, locations, significant amount of money. That's going to change. I think for us, what is still going to be important is the same thing that Fox has built a legacy media business off of over the last 110 years, which is discovering and empowering the world's greatest storytellers, giving them the tools to be able to tell those stories, and then distribute them out into the world, right? Part of distributing is those tools are getting great, is finding audience and helping that audience find things that resonate with them. On the flip side of it, there will be tools that help great storytellers, but there's still an opportunity for us to find those storytellers, amplify their stories, and get them the right tools and resources that they need. And that's the core of our business.
That's amazing. Yes, because storytelling really is still the art of it, and the human part of it is obviously the art of it, but the science is what's going to be driving that speed, as you talked about, driving the premiumness of it, helping with the polish. But I was just at a panel where an audience member, and where Jeffrey Katzenberg was talking to Anjali from Tubi, and he said, look, at the end of the day, when he was saying, when I use one of these tools, what I create is pretty boring. He's like, but when I see a real talent, a poet, let's say, working with these tools, what they create is pretty amazing. And ultimately, that's the difference. And that's the difference between a compelling storyteller or somebody like me, let's say, trying to get something to be output from a tool, but not necessarily having the creative vision for a story being told in a very specific way.
Yeah, I love this idea that creators are moving at the speed of culture. I think that that's really compelling. And because they have these tools at their fingertips, they're able to do that. But they also have a vision and a real capability to tell compelling stories. So
absolutely.
it's special craft.
Absolutely. do we want to talk about One Fox at all? No, sorry. We don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of alluded to it.
Yes.
One Fox is really the center of all of our data-driven capabilities. So what that's really going to do is accelerate getting the right audience to the right content, and then creating that cultural resonance across the board.
Love it. Love it. Well, I was at the Fox Upfronts this year, and I saw a lot of fun stuff coming out this year. I'm really excited for it. So we will be watching. Congratulations. It's going to be a great year for you guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you.